What's up, climber yogis? As you guys know, we put a lot of force into our shoulders while we're climbing as well as on the yoga mat. No matter if you're practicing vinyasa yoga and doing handstands or if you're chilling on your yoga mat, we do a lot of positions that weight your hands and put force into our vulnerable shoulder joint. This is an informative video to show you guys healthy alignment and stretches to keep your shoulders safe, healthy, and strong. We'll focus mainly on the rotator cuff muscles and learn how to prevent injury with proper alignment. Okay, so I have my friend Catherine here. She's gonna help me. I'm gonna walk her through the internal versus external rotation of your upper arm bone. And if you guys wanna just kind of play along on your mat or just on the ground, we're gonna come to a comfortable seat and we're gonna bring the arms in front. So we're gonna play around with external versus internal rotation of the upper arm bone or the humerus bone. So I'm going to have Catherine externally rotate by bringing her biceps up toward the ceiling and her triceps down toward the ground. So this is an external rotation. And then we'll have her internally rotate by bringing her biceps down toward the ground and her triceps up toward the ceiling. And let's have her do that a couple more times at her own pace, and we'll watch what her shoulders do as she externally rotates versus as she internally rotates. So basically what you're doing here is you're internally rotating your arm bones and you're externally rotating your arm bones. And as you're doing this motion, you're actually using 3 out of the 4 rotator cuff muscles. One of them is the main internal rotator, and 2 of them work together to externally rotate. So we'll take this exercise onto the mat in tabletop and downward facing dog pose. You can see me here coming into an internal rotation and external rotation. The exercise here is just to understand your full range of motion. If you read the blog and also checked out the links, you've read about why external rotation is a lot safer of an alignment for your shoulder joint to be in. It's super important to note that it's not necessary to crank into this external rotation, but to moderately externally rotate. As I take this exercise into downward facing dog, notice how the eyelets or the creases of my elbows move forward when I come into external rotation. When those creases of the elbows are moving forward, this is how you know you are in external rotation. And finally, we'll take this exercise into arms overhead positions. Draw your pinky fingers toward each other and your biceps back, triceps forward for external rotation. And rotate your palms out away from each other for internal rotation. Anytime your arms are overhead, you want your pinkies and your palms coming toward each other. So now let's take a look at what happens to the shoulder blades when we go through this exercise. After bringing her arms into an external rotation, you can bring your palms toward the front, good, and biceps toward the front of the room. And so we see her shoulder blades are pretty much placed really nicely onto her back body. And then we'll bring your arms into an internal rotation, and we can watch your shoulder blades move away from the spine and forward. So externally rotate, we'll watch your shoulder blades move onto the back body, and then internally rotate. Really nice. And rest, and that's good. So an external rotation of the humerus bone or of the upper arm bone brings your shoulder blades more firmly on your back versus an internal rotation when the shoulder blades come away and off of the back and towards the side bodies. And when they're more firmly on your back, you can more easily access those upper back muscles like your trapezius muscles or your rhomboid muscles. Notice how you can engage the back muscles when you're in an external rotation. This alignment also applies to when you're climbing. Not only is it safer to keep an external alignment while you're climbing, but you can also access more engagement in your upper back muscles. Practice finding external alignment as you hang on the campus or fingerboard. Notice how much more engaged my shoulders and upper back are when I externally rotate. Notice how sagged I am when I'm in an internal rotation. When you're practicing, think about which one feels healthier. Now I'll demonstrate a lot of great ways to stretch all of your rotator cuff muscles. This exercise you see is a great way to warm up to stretching your shoulders. Find the shortest distance your hands can go while drawing your arms up and all the way down behind you. Eagle arm stretches upper back as well as individual rotator cuff muscles. Clasp the thumbs if you can't get the palms together. Draw your elbows to the level of your shoulders and your hands away from your forehead. Reverse plank specifically stretches your external rotating rotator cuff muscles, so it's an awesome stretch to have in your practice. Binding also stretches your two external rotator cuff muscles. Stretching these two muscles certainly helps keep them healthy and allows them to get stronger. Here I demonstrate the many ways to use binding in your practice. I started standing with a half bind, and now I'm practicing a full bind. As always, use a strap if you need to. Find a half bind in your warrior two position by taking your back hand and drawing it toward your front thigh. Another awesome warrior two shoulder stretch modification. Connect the back of your front hand to your low back and hook your elbow on the inside of your knee. When you bring your arm to your ear here, first draw the arm down, then up. This places the humerus in a much safer position. Lastly, cow face arms. It's important that you first externally rotate your upper arm, then internally rotate your lower arm. This stretch both stretches your internal and external rotator cuff muscles. So yoga can be a great way to strengthen your external rotators and also stretch all four of your rotator cuff muscles and keep them healthy. A lot of pain in your shoulder can actually come from tightness, so stretching and lengthening those muscles is just as important as strengthening them.